Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 201 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Ash Costello from New Year's Day, I want to let you know what's new in the online shop at mistresscarrie.com. The all-new roll-up Mistress Carrie purple fleece blankets are in stock and ready to go. They're perfect on the go, for the airplane, the saddlebags, or for a day out with your four-legged friends. And just in time for Father's Day this year, new Mistress Carrie baby onesies that say, "My dad says Mistress Carrie rocks." They're available in newborn through 24 months, and they're perfect for that heavy metal baby in your life. Just go to the shop at mistresscarrie.com. My guest this week is Ash Costello from New Year's Day. She made her first appearance on November 2nd of 2022 on episode 126. And she's back on episode 201 to talk about the band's new album, Half Black Heart, and how the original lineup of the band reunited to make the album. We also talked about songwriting and touring, her love of Halloween and 80s hair, and we tackled serious subjects like aging, mental health, and pregnancy loss. We also talked about dating as a woman in rock and what the future holds for New Year's Day. She is one of my favorite guests, and I am convinced that if we did DNA tests, we would find out we're related. So allow me to reintroduce you to Ash Costello from New Year's Day. Oh my God, Ash Costello, who is that?
This is Barnabas. This is Barnabas.
We're starting the show with dog introductions, which has become a thing on the show, by the way.
Is it really?
Hello, Barnabas.
This is my little old man.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Do you want to say hi to Wednesday?
Oh my gosh. Doggy best buddies.
We're having a doggy play date right now.
Look at his little face. Oh, so cute.
Say hello, Ash and Barnabas.
So cute. Is your dog stinky?
No, pugs are pretty good. I mean, they fart every now and again, but they don't smell.
Oh, they're farters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They fart and they make noise a lot.
They're snorty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're so cute, though. God, I love pugs so much. They're the cutest. Like, what kind of creature, what kind of Star Wars Jim Henson creature is that?
I guarantee
They're unreal.
If you found a Foley artist that would be willing to tell the truth in Hollywood, they have recorded pug snorts and put them in a computer to make them a monster noise because...
Sure. I'm sure of it.
Because pugs make the best noises ever.
That's so funny.
How are you? I'm so glad you came back on the show.
Thank you. I know. It's been too long.
Well, I saw you a few weeks ago in Vegas, right when Half Black Heart came out.
Yeah, I think it was the day after or the day before.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to reconnect with you.
We were walking down Fremont Street with all of the freaks of nature in the middle of the night in Vegas.
I was one of them.
Exactly.
We were the freaks of nature. But in the best way possible.
People were walking by us like, did those girls buy all the hair dye?
Are those girls ready for Halloween 234 days too early?
Halloween's the one day where you and I look completely normal.
Yeah, that's why I love Halloween so much, because it feels like the rest of the world is like caught up to like what my life is every day.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the last time you were on the show, it was a while ago. We were still dealing with COVID and all of that. And I realized, preparing to talk to you today, that I never sent you those Italian cookies at Christmas that I promised the last time we talked.
So funny.
So I'm sorry.
I will happily take an Italian cookie any time of the year, as many times as you want. Whatever you want to send me, I'm always happy.
Well, the next time New Year's Day comes to town, I will bring them to you personally.
Oh, that's even better, because I'm sure if I'm on tour, I'm going to need a treat.
Yeah.
Or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you've got to be
awesome.
making massive plans. New album always means time to hit the road and be exhausted and never go home again.
Yes. Well, you know what? Like, I'm taking a different approach to this. Because what New Year's Day used to do before COVID was not even just when a new album came out, it was take every tour offer and grind. And that was hard. It was hard. Like when the time COVID came around, I remember telling you, it was like, I was burnt out. Like I needed a break. And I'm the kind of person where my social battery gets drained really quick, and I'm a homebody. So we're taking tours, and we have some really exciting tours. Like we're already planned for the rest of the year, but we're not taking everything, and we're being choosy about the strategies. So I'm getting to be a little bit more creative on how to promote ourselves without having to kill ourselves on the road.
Well, that's got to be completely against your DNA, because when you and I met, we realized that basically we're sisters from other misters. Like we're so much alike in so many ways. And one of the ways we're similar is that we love to work.
Yeah, I love to work.
And I hate to turn down opportunities and chances for things, and will literally not sleep and sacrifice everything. And we're both that way, and it's not good for you.
No, it definitely took its toll. And we called it FOMO. I don't know if you remember FOMO, the fear of missing out. And we just turned down a tour offer that was for the entire summer. And I just was like, you know what I really want to do? And I can't say it here because I don't want to ruin the surprises. But it's like I have these ideas that I feel like are so super, not just relevant, but a little bit thinking forward. But we have to be home to commit to doing them. And I was like, what if we take some of that tour support and invest it in content? Because I just feel like there's a shift, and touring is incredible and touring is amazing. I love to do it, but I feel like it's okay to kind of pull back a little bit and not, like, we don't need to visit Nebraska 5 times a year. We don't need to do that. And so I'm really excited about these ideas. I wish I could tell you the ideas now.
Well, first of all, I bet the people in Nebraska that are listening are like, yes, you do need to come to Nebraska 5 times.
Hey, I love Nebraska. You guys have Runza's, which is a fast food chain that we like out there. So, I mean, we love Nebraska, don't get me wrong, but, you know, and now I have a house now, and now we've gone 5 years since the last record. So times are a little different. It's a little different now for us.
Yeah, I mean, when you're first starting out, you release your first record, and then you got to get out on the road, and nobody knows who you are yet, and then you got to follow that up with the sophomore album. You're on your 5th record now, and I watched people in Vegas, like, watching you, like, people recognize you. Obviously, the hair kind of gives you away, but like, New Year's Day is at a point now where, you know, focusing not only on your health and your mental health for you, but the band's no good if you have no voice. If you get sick.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to take care of yourself.
I was running myself into the ground, you know, but before COVID, we had been on tour for 3 years. When I calculated it, only 3 months total at home in 3 years, which is not a lot of time. And when our tours got canceled, I was obviously upset because we had some Hailstorm, we had My Chemical Romance, that were coming up. And I was disappointed, but I was relieved. I was so relieved, even though it was a tough time for us, for everybody. But I was like, thank God, I need to go home. I'm not ready to get on this flight and we were supposed to go to Australia, and I was just dreading it. I was dreading it because I was so tired. And so we're never going to do that again, because before it was like the last time we were at the radio convention, which was right before COVID, I remember having a great time, but a lot of people didn't know who we were. Now it's very different, like you said. And I feel like I'm allowed to pull back a little bit.
Since COVID, we've all gone through professional craziness, personal craziness. And you and I were actually talking about it in Vegas. There's a lot of stuff that you've gone through personally that you've had to deal with on top of writing a record, recording, dealing with the pandemic, all of that.
Yeah.
And there's something a little different about going through personal tragedy and trauma and having to do it in public.
Boise. It was, and a lot of people, I don't talk about that stuff publicly ever really. And I was looking we were announced on Rockville. Welcome to Rockville. It's a really amazing Danny Wimmer festival. We're playing with like Motley Crue and Judas Priest. And the last time we were on Rockville, we had to cancel. We had to cancel all of our festivals last summer. And I saw the comments like, oh, is New Year's Day going to pull out again? I don't trust they'll ever make it. Like, how come they always cancel? And I just want to reach out to those people. Like, you have no idea the personal battles I was going through that summer. And I had to really learn to prioritize myself and my health. I went through a pregnancy. I went through a pregnancy loss, which was really traumatic because it was like a prolonged, like tons and tons of tests, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And so it wasn't like it was like an all summer stressful event, and then a divorce and moving to another state. And there's just so much that happened. And I just want to reach out to those people and be like, you have no idea what any artist you're idolizing is going through. Like, we're all human beings facing battles you know nothing about. And so, but that was a big lesson for me because I was never putting myself first, and it showed. So now we put myself first, and we're getting way more creative, which I'm excited about.
It's amazing how the rock and metal community is leading the charge when it comes to having really difficult conversations, right? About mental illness, addiction, suicide prevention. And the last time you were on the show, we talked a lot about this wave of women in rock that are leading this new charge. And so for me, that dealt with a pregnancy loss and dealt with a divorce, and I lost a baby while I was on the air. Like, so I think it's really important, and it's something that you and I were kind of talking about when we were in Vegas, that it's really important as these really difficult discussions get opened up by the rock and metal community, that I think it's really important for the women in rock to also talk about some things that the female rock fans can identify with as well, because pregnancy loss, all of that, it's so much more common than I think people are aware of. And it's not until you talk to other women that you realize how many other women have gone through it.
Get out of my head, because that was the next thing I was going to say, is that I didn't know how common it was. And, although common, still not fun. And so I had plans to be on that Kiss of Death tour, like 7 months pregnant was going to be the plan. I was going to rock it, And
that would have been so badass.
I know. I was actually like really into the idea of it, even though I'm sure it would have been really hard. But I was going to do it, and everyone was on board, and everyone was supportive, and then it just didn't. Life gives you what you need and taketh away what it's supposed to take away. And looking back, everything happens as it should, even though it's it's still sucky, but everything goes exactly as it should. And it's not something I talk about. It's like how you said, it's important to have a community of women in the rock world talking about, their real womanly issues that go on in our lives. I don't talk about this in general, but this is a girls podcast. This is, the girls, me and you. So I feel super comfortable talking about, mental health and self-care and prioritizing yourself and not sacrificing your happiness and your mental health, just to grind.
You got to put the oxygen mask on yourself, right? That's what they tell you on the plane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first, for sure. And I did. Yeah. And I did just that. Yeah. I did.
And I also know what it's like in this industry, being a woman that is, well, let's just put it bluntly, fucking weird. and then becoming single, right? And trying to date. And it's like, when I met my husband, I was like, oh,
thank God.
I don't have to date anymore.
I'm not a dater. I've never been.
Hate
dating. I don't do it. I'm the kind of person where it's like, I meet you, I'm like, all right, we get married or not, because I got somewhere to be. I've always been like that. And if someone freaks out over that, I'm like, cool, you're not my person.
I met mine via a blind date that I didn't agree to go on. So
Is that always how it happens?
Yeah. So leave yourself open to a good blind date, because you just never know.
Yeah, that's true. You never know.
You just never know.
Hey, I've done the blind date thing. Yeah. I have done that.
Sometimes the people that know you well know who you should be with better than you.
Better than you. That's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about the album because...
Oh, yes.
Because your fifth time around, you decide... Speaking of, I ask this question all the time. What's harder, to keep a marriage together or a band together, right? I've never had a band say a marriage. They always say keeping a band together is harder. Do you agree?
Yeah. Ooh. This is a tough question. It's very circumstantial and it's subjective. And I can only speak in my context. And in my context, it was harder to make a marriage work while being in a band with maybe a person who's not from the industry and doesn't necessarily understand because I always said, I'm not going to date anyone in a band. I'm going to go with someone in a totally different field. And then that also came with its cons as well, because it was a little hard for the other person to understand what it takes. It's a lot of sacrifice.
My husband's active duty military. We couldn't be more opposite in career choices. And it's hard sometimes to try and get the other person to understand what the hell you're talking about when you want to talk about work at home.
Yeah. And there's, I'm on tour with a lot of guys and I'm a very friendly person. I've always been one of the guys, just because I've always been in bands. And so that can be a bit jarring for someone who's not, maybe doesn't understand what the camaraderie is actually like.
Yeah.
While you're traveling and stuff like that. So definitely difficult to navigate. Well, it's going to take a very understanding person or just someone in the industry.
Well, I bring it up because you put the band back together for this record.
I did. Well, I didn't even do it. It just happened.
What do you mean? Tell me the story.
So, okay, this is exactly how it went down. So Jeremy and Brandon are brothers. They're like actual brothers in real life. It's our bass player and our guitar player. And they've been in the band since 2014 or 15. And they are a big part of the sound that kind of coined New Year's Day when we started kind of really coming into our own in the industry and like people started noticing. Jeremy wrote the riff in this song called Kill or Be Killed, which really made people take notice of us, because it was so different, especially for a female to be doing at that time. And, we did a couple of years of touring together and they both decided that touring just wasn't for them. They wanted to have stable careers. They wanted to work on being producers, more stay at home, with their wives and be more of a home life. And we totally respected that and understood that, but we always kept in touch. And when we parted ways with our fill-in bass player at the time, Brandon came back just to fill in. And it was like for incarceration, I think in 2020 or 2021. And it was just felt like a coming home. It just felt like, man, we miss you. And he's like, I miss you guys. And then he told his brother, like, I don't know, I'm just really missing New Year's Day. And then Jeremy was, reached out to me and was like, I know you have already replaced me, but if something ever happens, I really want to come back. I miss touring. I miss you guys. And so we talked to our fill-in guitar player at the time, and he was totally understood, was cool that we wanted our, original guitar player to come back. And so he gracefully let us do that. And they just rejoined. It just kind of just happened.
It's crazy. Sometimes it just takes a little while. And like we were talking about earlier, it's like you've got to focus on your personal life. They're trying to keep their families together. They had to step away for a while, and now it makes sense to put the band back together. And so you did it.
We always understand that, and we don't make big grand announcements about it. And maybe we should, because a lot of people online, I feel like when there's not a lot of information, they kind of fill in the holes with their own information. And for some reason, it's typically pretty negative. And then for some other reason, it's always my fault. For some reason, because I'm a girl, so it must be because I'm a diva or something. So, but yeah, it's the best feeling, and it made for a really good record because we had, they left, and although they still helped with Unbreakable, the previous album, it just wasn't the same. And I kind of had to do it all on my own, which I'm proud of. I mean, with the help of songwriters, obviously, but I had to go out and I didn't have my crew. So, but when they came back and we got to work on Half Black Heart, it just felt like this is it. This is the sound. We're nailing this.
You mentioned maybe it's because I'm a girl. You and I were laughing about this kind of stuff when we were in Vegas, because there are those things, right? That it's like you've got to navigate the industry, but then navigating it as a woman is always a little bit different.
It totally is. And although I will say the industry has made leaps and bounds, and women are being put at the forefront so effortlessly now, when before there was thought, it was well, we need one girl to fill the slot, or we already have two girls, we don't need the third, or maybe the lineup's too girl heavy. Maybe those were thoughts that were happening back in the day. We talked about that. Yeah. But now it doesn't feel like there's a cap anymore, and it just feels very equal as an artist, being supported by the radio stations and the festival lineups and tour lineups. And although I still feel the sting a little bit of being the girl in some ways, and I'm sure they'll always be there, it's really come a long way.
Yeah. And we were talking about, women in rock, that there have always been the pillars, right? The Wilson sisters, Stevie Nicks, Janis Joplin, those women that really plowed the road. But one of the things that we have to worry about, and I say we as in the industry, not that I'm a musician, we all know about my tragic clarinet career.
That's awesome.
But the idea of especially in the digital age, of us aging, where you've got the Stones in their 80s, sponsored by AARP. Nobody criticizes Keith Richards' wrinkles.
I mean, I think he gets a lot of comments about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, but he's 80.
He gets comments. He is not. He does not escape the criticism of the age, but it's a different kind of criticism. It's a little bit more accepted than when women age in the industry, and there's definitely a pressure. And my business manager just wrote this incredible article in Forbes about the cost of being a female entertainer, and man, is it a high price tag.
Yeah, it's, you have to sit there and make those decisions, right? And for me, I hit 50 and I was like, okay,
you're gorgeous.
Thank you. But I was like,
oh man,
beautiful. How am I going to handle it? Well, now I'm 51. So I'm like, but you have to kind of go, okay, because every once in a while, some prick will get in my comments and be like, you got old. And I'm like, no fucking shit, asshole.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's what, none of us are getting out of this alive.
And what a blessing too. I always remind myself, because I've lost friends along the way, especially during COVID. I've lost friends to cancer, and what a blessing that I get to be my age. how thankful am I?
That was what I was getting to, is that I came to this idea that being young isn't special. Because
No.
everybody gets to do it, but not everybody gets to get old.
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
just music-wise, how many amazing, prolific musicians have we lost before their time?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we get the gift of, like, I look at wrinkles and scars now in a totally different way than I used to.
Well, I look at maturing, like I look at pictures of when I was 30, and you couldn't pay me $1 million to go back and look like the way I did. I feel like with maturity has come like a different kind of beauty. And I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's just come from life experience or like just being more mature in my mind, or just having more control over my emotion, or whatever it is. I feel more beautiful than I've ever been. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with like what you're seeing outwardly. I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what it is.
Confident
Your
than
give a
ever.
fuck light is shining really bright.
That's true. When I turned 30, I remember like a switch like just went off, and I was like, oh, I don't give a fuck. I was like, I thought I did, but I don't. And it's just like, just like that, like boom, off.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, where I think if we got the whole crew of like all of the big women in rock right now, and luckily that would be really hard to do because there's so many of them right now. But if you put all of the women in the room, and I want to come in because I'm going to hold the microphone, and we all have the same conversation, I think that idea that eventually you take control over it and go, you know what? I just don't give a fuck anymore. What you think, what you think of me. It's a very liberating thing for anybody of any gender, but I think especially for women to get to that point where you're just like, if I'm wearing makeup, I'm wearing it for me, not you.
And, you know, I've that saying, what's the saying? Youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
I gave so many fucks. You know, I cared so much when I was younger, and I just wish I could go back and be like, just be you. Who cares about it? Just do it. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Who cares? You only get this one life, and you're gonna blink, and 10 years that are gonna go by before you know it. So might as well just live it up.
And to go back to what you were talking about, like I had this conversation with somebody before, like, would you go back to high school and do it all over again? And I'm like, I don't think so.
No.
I'm happy where I'm at. Like it wasn't the smoothest road. There were definitely potholes and, you know, earth-shattering explosions along the way. But like, I don't think I would go back and do it again.
No. I mean, maybe with some stipulations, like, can I look like how I look now and go back?
Can I go back with this brain?
I was like such a dork in high school.
Can I go back with this brain?
Yes, with this knowledge and these looks, because I was for sure a late bloomer. I was not cute in high school. We'll just put it that way. And I was not. We weren't cute.
You know how many times I have been tagged in TikTok videos because somebody's gotten a hold of my giant 80s hair pictures
that's awesome.
And put me in those TikTok videos of all of the girls in the 80s, and I ended up in all those videos.
I want to see this picture. You got to send it to me. I have to see the big 80s hair. I'm an 80s baby.
Yeah, no. You're an 80s baby. I was in the 80s.
I need to see this.
Hold on. I know you need to go, but I know where the picture is, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now because I want to record your reaction when I put this picture up there so you can see it.
Because you know what's so funny? I could talk to you for like 2 more hours easily.
We're dangerous.
I feel like we need to do a part 2 of this.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Should we schedule a part 2?
Yes, 100%. There you go.
Okay, I'm going to talk to Rachel about
open the chat.
Oh my God!
Yes!
You're incredible. We would have been friends. You're so cute.
That's why I wanted to make sure that I recorded that's some big ass motherfucking 80s hair,
How
Ash.
did you even get your hair like that? What was the routine?
It took 45 minutes every morning. First of all, I had a perm.
Good for you.
Teasing, combing, spraying, Aquanet, extra super hold. Oh, it was a thing.
I love the commitment.
Yeah, it was a commitment. And then just getting in and out of the car was a commitment.
What happens if it was windy?
You blew away. It was like a sail.
What did you do during PE?
I fixed it. And you know those leather caps with the chain that Rob Halford wears?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, the biker caps. I had one of those in case of bad hair days.
I wish you still had it. I wish you still had it.
I don't, but I kind of wish I did too. But
I'm sure we could find you one.
This is a lot easier. This is a lot easier to deal with. And that, like, shortly after these pictures got taken, I dyed it purple. That's how long it's been purple since. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So for anybody that wants to know what the real color of my hair is, there it is. It was captured in all of its 80s glory.
The dirty blonde.
All right, I know you got to go. I wanted to catch up with you and say hi, and we will schedule a part 2 and get you back on the show.
Yes, I really want Rachel to schedule a part 2 because I'm a little shocked at how fast 30 minutes went by, and I feel like we opened this can of worms, and I'm like, shoot. Normally 30 minutes, I'm like, perfect. And I'm like, dang, we need like another hour.
I know. You know what we should try to do? We should try to get some of the other girls and we'll do one together.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I can talk to Rachel and see who's in town.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
All right, listen, I know you got to run. It was so good to see you. Congratulations on the record. And fingers crossed some of these touring plans that you're making, we're going to get you in town and I will bring you those cookies.
Thank you.
There she is, the one and only Ash Costello from New Year's Day. Their new album, Half Black Heart, is available everywhere, and the band is hitting the road next month with Lacuna Coil and scheduled to hit some of the biggest festivals of the year, including Sonic Temple, Louder Than Life, and Aftershock. If you missed Ash Costello on episode 126 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, you'll find the link in the show notes of this episode. You'll also find all of Ash's links and all the links for New Year's Day, and of course all of my links too. You'll also find the link to this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the podcast that features all of my guest music and all the songs and artists that we talked about in the episode. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, every weekday, you get the sit rep. All of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in around 5 minutes. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern on my official Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch for my weekly video show, Cocktails in the War Room. And you can always find me on the radio. Get the details on all of that and more at MistressCarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.